Okay, so if you clicked on this video, you probably want to know how you can get all these various 3-volt devices to work off of some simple AA batteries. So that's what I'm going to show you today. So, parts you'll need is obviously a device, switch bot, Bluetooth devices, Zigbee, anything that takes a 3-volt battery, such as like, these little CR2 3-volt batteries, it says right there. These CR2032 or 2450s are 3 volts, and then 2032s are 3 volts, anything like that. And so if you have a device that you either have in a spot you don't want to have to access a lot, like a temperature sensor out in your garage or something up high, like this switch bot which goes on my computer and it's mounted way up on the wall because this place is prone to flooding, then you might want to make it run off of AA batteries, because these are also a lot easier to just go down the store and buy, and you might already have them at home than trying to find these little batteries. Another reason I wanted to do it is to use rechargeable batteries that I can just use over and over again. But not all rechargeable batteries will work for this, and I'll get into that later, so if that's something you're interested in. But so basically how this works is AA batteries and AAA batteries, they're at 1.5 volts each. So if I get my little voltage meter here and I take one of these batteries and I stick negative on the negative side here, positive on the positive side, you'll see that these are 1.5 volts each. And that's where they should be at. And so if you take one of these battery cases that has the negative on one side and the negative on the other side, that most likely means that they are wired in series, which will add the voltages together. So if you have two 1.5 volt AA batteries, that'll equal 3 volts, and that's what you need to power these devices. If I take one of these NeMe or nickel metal, let's see if I can get that in focus. You'll see right there it says I don't have to put in the voltage test. They're 1.2 volts. So all these nickel metal hybrid batteries, which is what most rechargeables are, they're all 1.2 volts. And so you can try, if I try and put those in this case and hook it up to the SwitchBot sensor, it'll pop up in the app, but it'll show the little battery symbol and it'll be so low, it won't even move the arm. So you won't really be able to use those. You can try, I don't think it'll hurt it, but you really want to use batteries that are 1.5 volts, which is pretty much any standard alkaline battery. And then there's a bunch of lithium rechargeables that I'll show you later on in the video, which is what I'm personally going to be using to do these, so I can, recharge them over and over again. That'll work, so I'll show you that. So now that works, let's talk about, how much capacity these little batteries hold compared to these new, bigger batteries that we're going to be using. Okay, so keep in mind that these AA batteries range anywhere from about 2,000 milliamps to 3,000 milliamps. So this little CR2 battery, which is in SwitchBots and these SmartThings motion sensors, it only has a capacity of 800 milliamps. So one of these is already more than double what that would be, double the battery life. If you have one of these little 2450s, those only have a 600 milliamp capacity. And then again, these are 2,000 to 3,000, depends on the brand you get. And then if you have a 2032, those are only 210 milliamps, which that's the average of them. And so 200 will run in a car sensor for how long? And then you want to stick one of these giant guys powering it? That'll run forever. You'll never have to change the batteries on those. So that's why this project might be awesome and why you might want to do it. Okay, so we got what you need. You need one of these battery holders. It needs to be a 3-volt one, so 2 of these in what is called series, so basically it's negative connects to the positive, positive connects to the negative. So you need one of those type of things, and it has to output 3 volts, which is 2 batteries, but technically you could get a 4-gang one of these that does this twice, basically. That's as long as it still outputs 3 volts and not 6 or anything. So this is the case I picked out. I'll have these linked below, but they're really nice because the cover just slides off. They even have an on-off switch, and then it even has a screw, so you can screw the cover on if you want. One reason you might not like these is if you want to mount it on the wall or something next to your sensor and you want to slide the front off to get to the batteries. You do have this stupid switch sticking out. It should be on the other side. That'd make it really awesome, but it's there for some reason. So keep that in mind. You might want to pick out a different case. I can link some others down below that I know are 3-volt ones that will work for this type of setup that aren't necessarily this one. So you need that, and then obviously you need your sensor. I'm going to do it on the SwitchBot to show you first. Basically, you just need to get these 2 wires connected to your positive and negative inside of here. So obviously the negative is the curled one because that's always the end that you stick the negative on. And then the positive is the piece that sticks out. See the little positive? And then that's your flat side. And then on these type of batteries with these coin ones, the negative is the bottom side, and then the positive is the side / top. So on here it even has a symbol. The bottom piece, if you're going to solder to it, that one is the negative. The side little spring one is the positive. So you can do various ways. You can try, like, these wires will, at least on this switch bot, I mean, I would recommend soldering them or something, but you could also try getting them to stay another way if you don't want to necessarily solder them in here in case you want to go back to a normal battery. But if you don't use too much solder, you should be able to easily undo the wires and then put in a normal battery still. So I'm just going to strip these down a little bit here. That's probably too much. We'll just do a little bit. You don't need a ton. Do whatever you want though. I have this awesome Ryobi little solder iron I'm going to use. This thing works really well. And I mean, it wasn't horribly expensive, but it gets pretty hot, and it was just nice because I already had a bunch of Ryobi tools. So I'll let that warm up. Okay, so basically all I'm doing is soldering the negative to the negative side, which is the side with the springs always. Or at least, well, I don't know always, but like pretty much I think you're guaranteed that that's the right side. So I'm just going to get a little bit of solder on there first. I don't know if I can record this that well and do it.
2 hours later.
Okay, well I couldn't really record that, but as you can see I got a little drop of silicone or soldering on there, and it's pretty solid. So that's the negative. Yeah, I just got a little bit of solder on there. Okay, that one wasn't as good either, but as you can see, I got it soldered on there pretty good. So let's test this out. We'll put 2 of these standard Energizer batteries in here to start with. Negative, positive, negative to positive. Okay, so it's off right now. Once I turn it on, there should be a light that lights up. Yep, that green light just lit up. Okay, so now I've got them soldered up. If I flip this switch, you'll see the LED lights up and it appears in the app. So now if I hit the button, it works. So there we go. Okay, so that is how you do this, basically. So yeah, you just solder this little pack in. I will have this linked down below. And then, okay, so now you can be done watching the video if you get the point. But now I'm going to keep talking about rechargeables and which ones you want to buy if you want to do this. So I wanted to use rechargeables on this because you can buy CR2, like these little guys, you can buy rechargeables of these. But this one is 800 milliamp hours, and the biggest rechargeable I could find was 400. So it's like half the battery life. And if anything, I want longer battery life. So I was like, well, I'll just use AA's, you know, because that lasts way longer, because this tiny little thing is 800 milliamps, and one of these is 2,000 to 3,000 milliamps. So like it'll more than double the lifetime. And so then I was like, awesome, so I'll use rechargeables. But they only are 1.2 volts, which is a problem. I need 1.5 on both if I want this thing to actually work. In nickel metal hybrid, like I mentioned before, there's none of them that are 1.5 volts. So I picked up these lithium EBL ones. And when you go to lithium, they like to say milliwatt hours instead of milliamp hours. And you might think it's the same, but it's not. This is 3,000 milliwatt hours, and I used my calculation. And it's actually only 2,000 milliamp hours, but that's still, even on the low side, more than double what the previous battery is. So these will last quite a while. There's a couple other brands you could get that I will also have links down below. I have not tested those yet, but if they should be decent, and the reviews are all these. I didn't list any of the crappy ones. They all have at least 4.5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, anyway, so now if I take my voltage meter here, turn it on, and it stops yelling at me, you can see that this puts out a consistent 1.5 volts. And I tested these in my door lock, and they were in there for over 6 months, and they said they were getting a little low, which makes sense. It's a door lock. Like, it uses a lot of power, even on standard alkaline batteries. And it's still, even when it was close to dead, it still was a solid 1.5 volts. So these should work really well for this project. So now, instead of using these, I can use rechargeables that actually last a while instead of the CR2 rechargeables, which would have only lasted half the amount of time as these. So if I stick these bad boys in here really quick, oh, I stuck that in backwards. That is what happens when you do not pay attention. I hope I didn't ruin anything. There we go. Now the light turns on. Okay, so if I stick those in there, light turns on, and these will work great. So that's what you want to do if you want to use rechargeables, and then you use them over and over again. And then when it's put this all back together, I probably should have actually cut one of these, so like if they stick out the side, they're like the same length, but I didn't do that. So take note if that's something you want to do. But these actually, like the case sort of fits on with these just sticking out the little slit back here. But especially on other devices, like see it fits on good enough, like, you know, it looks okay. Oh, that doesn't look very good though. I should have made those the same length. So if you want to do that to do it, or if you want to just do that without actually drilling a hole in it, like, which totally makes sense, you can just do that. And technically, even on these, like, other ones, like this motion sensor, you might need the back, like for this one, for example. You might need the back because that is where the magnet mount is, but you could always just not put the back on if you just have it stuck somewhere instead. But yeah, you can always just drill a hole where this actually seems to fit okay, so I'll just leave it like that, and then obviously this mounts where your button is, and then this I will just use some Velcro. I would put Velcro on the back, but that might stick out too much, so I might just stick it on this side, and then I'll let's see, it slides this way, so if I mount on the wall this way, I have to slide it off and out to the batteries, and then I can slide it back on, so that'll probably work well. So I'll mount it now just to show you what it looks like. This is totally random, but I just think it's really cool that SwitchBot includes a second one of these pads in their box, like when you order it. So when you, like, if you know, if, like I did, you had to rip one off the whatever it's on to, and then ruin the pad. They have, like, another one in the box, which is awesome. So I was going to secure it with Velcro on the side, but there wasn't enough room. So it's just sitting on top of the computer. But that's what it looks like, and you see the two wires. So that's what it looks like. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, so like you might want to stick it in your living room on your motion sensor. You know, maybe it's better for like in a garage where you have a temperature sensor, in your crawl space where you have like a door sensor maybe, like, or something like that. But I mean, if you don't care about looks either, yeah, just put in your, you can use it for whatever. This doesn't even have to be on any of the products I showed you in the video. I just like, just to get you thinking about like how you can easily do stuff like this just to extend the battery life of something. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you want to see more stuff like related to this. And I'll see you next time.